Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inshallah, we can get started with the exercises to lesson 12. And we'll begin with that, and then we'll move on to the material that we had worked on last week. And if we get a chance, we might start taking a look at lesson 14 as well. So for lesson 12 exercises, it's practice giving the imperfect, and the imperfect is known as mudari' for verb forms. Mudari' is consists of 14 independent forms, just like the past or the perfect, but there is a difference as to how they are formed and what endings you will find on the verb. And in the case of mudari', there will also be a prefix that every verb form will have. So let's take a look at these exercises and see if we can figure them out. The first one, it gives us the madi form, and we're going to make the mudari' form. So what is the mudari' for kharaju? Yakhrujuna. Now the past tense is kharaju. So what are the possibilities that the mudari' can have? Kharaju, with a fatha and the ra. So what are the possibilities in the mudari' if the past tense or the perfect tense has a fatha on the second letter? Is it possible to have a dhamma in the mudari'? Yakhrujuna? Yes. Theoretically, it's also possible to have a fatha or a kasra. Yakhrajuna or yakhrijuna is also possible. So how do you know it's yakhrujuna as opposed to yakhrajuna or yakhrijuna? The only way is to memorize it or to look in a dictionary. Because when the past tense has a fatha on the second letter, like kharaja, the mudari' can have a fatha, a dhamma, or a kasra. In this case, it's a dhamma. So when you memorize the verb, remember you have to memorize the past, kharaja, and the present. And I use past and present, but the more correct way is to say perfect and imperfect. Kharaja yakhruju. And yakhrujuna is the third person masculine plural. Number 2, kafarta. First of all, what form is this? What's the corresponding pronoun? So, second person masculine singular, the pronoun is anta. Right? Anta. Kafarta. And what is the imperfect or the mudari'? Tak. Furu. Tak furu. And I'm only going to put the haraka on that second last letter or the second letter of the verb because that's the only one that we're unsure about. The first letter will always have a fatha. The prefix will always have a fatha. The first letter of the original verb will always have a sukun. And the final letter will always have a dhamma in this form. So takfuru. Sajadtuma. What form is this? Not third person dual. Second person dual. And is it masculine or feminine? It could be either, we don't know. So it's the antuma form. And what is the imperfect or mudari'? Tasjudani. Tasjudani. تسجدان. Tasjudani will be both masculine and feminine. And it will always be an alif to show the dual, because this alif is a pronoun. So in the verb, it's not like the noun. You will never have two forms for the dual. Like in a noun, you can have kitabani and kitabaini. In a verb, you will just have one form, and that will be with an alif. Tasjudani. Because that alif is not to indicate the i'rab, so it won't change. It's a pronoun. And then we have dhahabna. What form is dhahabna? It is the hunna form. The pronoun is hunna. So third person, feminine plural. And what is the mudari'? Yadhabna. Now this is a case where we have a fa'ala in the past tense, dhahaba, but the mudari' is with a fatha, yadhabna, or yadhabu. We don't say yadhubu, we say yadhabu. And that goes all through the form. So yadhabu, yadhabani, yadhabuna, tadhabu, tadhabani, yadhabna. There is a fatha on the ha in all of those forms. Next, ba'athta. This is the anta form. What is the mudari'? Tab'uthu.
It seems like more often than not, it's the fa'ala form with the dhamma, or is that the
Dhamma, I mean, they're all used frequently, so you can't say that that yab'uthu is more common. That yaf'ulu form is not necessarily more common than yaf'ilu. It is very common, but the other ones are also common as well. Next, nazaltum is the antum form. What is the mudari'? Tanziluna. Tanziluna. With a kasra. This is one with a kasra. Fa'altu. That's the ana form. Af'alu. Alu. Af'alu. No, those are, when we say af'ulu or af'ilu, those are just to tell you the pattern.
Oh,
but the verb itself, fa'ala, which means to do, is used with the fatha in the mudari'. So we say, yaf'alu, he does. Taf'alu, you do. Sometimes we'll say yaf'ilu, or we'll say yaf'ulu. That's just to tell you that that is a pattern that can exist. So fa'ala is not just a pattern, it's also a verb. Fa'ala means he did.
It could take any of them.
Sami'tunna, this is the antunna form, and this is now a case where we have sami'a. So in the madi we have a kasra on the mim. Sami'tunna. So we automatically know that the mudari' will not contain a dhamma. There's no such thing as sami'a yasmu'u. It's either going to be sami'a yasmi'u or sami'a yasma'u. And we said that it's very, very uncommon to have a kasra as well in the mudari'. It's impossible to have a dhamma. It's uncommon to have a kasra, so it's going to be a fatha. So it will be yasma'u, and then the antunna form will be tasma'na. تسمعن. Does that make sense? Because the past tense is سمعتن with a kasra, the mudari will almost always have a fatha, تسمعن. Next we have dakhala. This is the huma form. What is the mudari? Thank you. يدخلان. يدخلان. Then we have أخذت, which is the ana form, and that will be آخذ with the mad. آخذ. Then we have لعنوا. This is the hum form. يلعنون. And then we have كتبتي, which is the anti form. تكتبين. سألتم is the antum form, and it is تسألون. تسألون. No, سألتم is the antum form. It's not hum. So يسألون corresponds to sa'alu. Sa'alu past, yas'aluna present and future. But sa'altum corresponds to tas'aluna. It always helps to find the corresponding pronoun or dhamir. So if you think sa'altum is antum, then you'll realize that it's going to be tas'aluna, not yas'aluna. Because the pronoun sounds a little bit like the verb form in some cases. The ending is the same or it's similar, and it helps you recognize the verb form. Ja'alti is the anti form, and it is taj'alina. Thank you.
This is taj'alina.
Taj'alina, yes. Amarna is the nahnu form. Na'muru. Mana'a is the huma form. Yamna'ani. And then we have abadna is the nahnu form. Na'budu. Na'budu. From Surah Kafirun, also from another surah, Surah Fatiha.
It's a Fatiha and another surah? Na'bud? It's Na'bud?
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
Oh, right. So it's Na'budu.
Na'budu.
Yeah, Na'budu.
Na'budu.
But it comes so much in Kafirun.
Yeah.
Over and over.
When you doubted Surah Fatiha, you made me doubt that. Am I forgetting Surah Fatiha or are you forgetting Surah Fatiha?
Some other surah. I was like, oh, what other surah?
In Surah Fatiha, we also have Na'budu.
Yeah,
Dhakarta, sorry, no, not Dhakarta. Dhakarata. Right? Dhakarata, which is the huma form.
Yeah.
But here, huma is the feminine dual, third person feminine dual.
Third person feminine dual? So it's
yes.
Right?
Yes, tadhkurani.
Again. Dhakarta. How do you know it's
ذكرتا.
right.
If it's if it's masculine, it will
That's
not
right.
be ذكرتا, it would be ذكرا.
Yeah.
So you can say هما ذكرا if it's those two men mentioned. If it's those two women mentioned, we will say ذكرتا.
And تذكر
But it's third person. So it's either they masculine or they feminine, referring to two people. And it's تذكراني. And then we have خلقت is the hiya form. So it's
تخلق
تخلق.
تخلق
And علم is the huwa form. يعلم. Any questions? Okay, that's something. Now, in the next part, we want to give the imperfect of the verbs, but we want to maintain the pronoun that refers to the maf'ul, the object. So, أخذوكم is the hum form. What will it be?
يأخذونكم
يأخذونكم. That's a lot. يأخذونكم. So you take أخذوكم, the verb if that is أخذوا. You will convert that to مضارع. أخذوا becomes يأخذون. And you will add the same pronoun to it. يأخذونكم. أخذوكم, they took you. يأخذونكم, they are taking you or they will take you. Any questions on that? Why we say يأخذونكم? Next, سمعتهما. What form is that verb? سمعت أنا. And in the مضارع it will be أسمع هما. أسمع هما. أسمع هما. So make sure you pronounce the verb fully. سمعت becomes أسمع. And then you add the pronoun أسمع هما. منعتموني.
That's antum, right?
It's the antum form. And the mudari for منعتموني is yes تمنعونا. So it's تمنعونا, and then you will add the pronoun ni. So تمنعونني.
Oh, you do nani?
Yes. So تمنعون is the verb, and then ni, the pronoun will have a extra noon before it. سألاها is the huma form. Is it huma masculine or huma feminine? Masculine. So what will the mudari' be?
Yes. على نوح.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
Niha. Yes, alaniha. So don't get confused by that ha at the end. First make the verb. Sa'ala becomes yas'alani. And then the same pronoun is added. Yas'alani ha. La'anathum, that's the hiya form.
Yeah.
And it becomes hiya. Tal'anuhum. Dhakartihi is the anti form. So it becomes tadhkurina. تذكرينه. تذكرينه. So ذكرتي becomes تذكرين, and then you add the hu at the end. عبدناه is the نحن form. نعبده. دخلته is the أنت form. تدخله. فعلنها is the هن form. يفعلنها. And خلقكم is the هو form. يخلقكم. Any questions? Okay. Now we have some sentences we want to read and translate. I will read it and then help me with the translation. The first one is Wallahu yashhadu.
And it's not wallahi, you're not swearing by Allah.
It's not wallahi. It's wallahu yashhadu and innahum, or you could even say annahum, that would not be incorrect. But innahum lakadhibun.
So here la is not majroor. It doesn't make it majroor. What type of la is it?
This is the la that is used for emphasis. Lakadhibun is innahum lakadhibun is the same as saying innahum kadhibun. But when you add the la, there's a little bit of emphasis. So innahum lakadhibun.
So what's the la?
Indeed. The waw at the beginning is just and. So wallahu and God, yashhadu, witnesses or testifies. Innahum, verily they, lakadhibun, are liars.
So if you said annahum,
Annahum would also have the same meaning. And either one of them, regardless of the fact that this is a verse of Quran, but grammatically either one of them would be correct. And God testifies that they are lying. Or they are liars. Ya ahlal kitabi, because ahl is mudaf and kitab is mudaf ilayh. So you will say Ya ahlal kitabi, and this is not lam, it's lima.
Oh, it's lima.
Lima
Okay.
takfuruna. What does lima mean? There's a word in Arabic, ma. Ma has given many people sleepless nights because it can have many, many different meanings. It can mean not as a negative.
So why don't
It can mean which or what
why do you
or that,
yeah.
and maybe some other meanings as well. As long as.
When I was doing it, I didn't realize it's
So ma can have many different meanings. Here though, ma means what? And le means for. So le plus ma, you'd think it would become le ma. But that's shortened to saying lima. Now, why did the Arabs shorten it? Why didn't they just say lima? It doesn't sound as good. If you ask me, the reason is that if they had said lima, it might not be confused, but lima is more likely to be confused with lam, because they're both written the same way. Lam mim. And it's more fun if you have a word that can easily be confused rather than a word that's less likely to be
You won't
confused.
worry about writing at that time.
But when I was doing the
So
translation,
the word here is lima. Be aware that lima might get confused for lam, but it's different. And there's a way you can tell which it is. In a few lessons, we'll get to that way that you can tell whether it's lam or lima. But right now, the best way for you to tell is that after lima, there will be a question mark. So generally when you're reading Arabic, at least modern Arabic or an edited text, not the Quran, but generally newspaper and a book that's been edited, there will be a question mark. Lima means what? Lima means for what? Why? Right? So lima is why. So Ya Ahl al-Kitabe, O people of the book, hold your questions until the end, please. O people of the book, lima takfuruna. What is the translation? Why do you disbelieve? Bi'ayatillahi, about the signs of God or in the signs of God. Wa antum tashhadun. Does that make sense to say and? Wa antum tashhadun, and you are witnesses?
while
While.
you
So-
are witnessing
Yes, while you are witnessing.
the signs.
The signs.
Blessed out.
Yes. Wa antum tashhadun, while you see or while you are witnessing. Questions? The word Ya Ahl al-Kitab. Whenever you have a noun after Ya, if it is mudaf, then it will have the mansoob case. It will be mansoob. So Ahl al-Kitab will be mansoob. Right? That's why we say Ya Abal Fadl, or Ya Aba Abdullah, or Ya Rasulallah. We don't say Ya Rasulullah. We say Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, not Ya Amirul Mu'mineen. And if you ever see a poster Ya Abul Fadl, you officially have my permission to look at the poster and say whoever wrote you wrong. Don't deface it if it's not your property. But it should be Ya Aba,
You always do that in
Ya
your
Abal Fadl. So it's Aba, because it's mansoob. Of course, the pronunciation is not Ya Aba al-Fadl. It becomes Abal Fadl. But it's written like this. It's an alif. Aba. Okay, let's move on. أولئك الذين يكذبون على ربهم فمقامهم في النار. أولئك الذين يكذبون. What does that mean?
Those are the ones whom
أولئك, they
they are the ones whom
are the ones whom يكذبون,
lie
lie على ربهم,
to the Lord.
about their Lord, or they lie about with regard to their Lord. فمقامهم,
So
their place, their abode, في النار,
in the hellfire.
is in hell. Fine. Question? Those are they who lie, or those are the ones who lie. Alladhina, the ones who, or they who lie.
Or lying.
Yakdhibuna is are lying, yeah. But if you say that who lie, that's an approximate translation, that's okay as well. فَقَالَ إِنِّي لَأَصْدُقُ.
So here la is the same thing. I wasn't sure why this la was there.
After a sentence that starts with inna, you will often have a lam that comes on the khabar of the inna.
But it
And
isn't,
that will be with a fatha. Inni la asduqu. and that's just used for
It
emphasis.
doesn't change the meaning.
Doesn't change the meaning. It just gives emphasis. So قال إني لا أصدق is like saying إني أصدق. قال إني أصدق. He said إني, indeed I, la asduqu, am truthing. I am telling the truth. Walastu. Walastu. What does that mean? I am not. Min al-kadhibin. From the liars, meaning among the liars. Wa inni a'lamu. Inni a'lamu. And indeed, I know. Right? You could have said inni la a'lamu. Ma la ta'lamun.
That
What or that which.
you do not.
La ta'lamuna, you don't know. Ta'lamuna is you don't know. La ta'lamuna is you don't know. Yeah, don't get confused between ta'lamuna and ta'maluna. They're two different words. Ta'lamuna, you know. Ta'maluna, you do. So ilm, this is from the masdar ilm, and this is from the masdar amal. Two different words. They're written with the same letters, but the order is different. Continuing, قالوا شهدنا. So قالوا, they said, شهدنا, we witnessed, على أنفسنا, on ourselves or against ourselves. وغرتنا, غر means to deceive, so غرتنا الحياة الدنيا. الحياة الدنيا is the fa'il. So what deceived us? الحياة الدنيا, the lowest life or the lowly life, this life, meaning the present life. غرت, deceived, na. Na is the object. So غرت الحياة الدنيا, this lowly life, deceived us. Na is the object. غرت na, it deceived us. So when you see this verb غرتنا, you have to be able to break it up. It's غرت. I'm sorry, let me rewrite that. غرت plus na. غرت, it deceived, na, us. وشهدوا على أنفسهم, and they witnessed on or against themselves أنهم, that they كانوا, they were كافرين, unbelievers. So I'll read the transition. They said, we witnessed against ourselves, and the lowly life deceived us, and they witnessed against themselves that they had been or they were unbelievers. Yes, it's all in the Madi tense.
So, like verbs like gharra, how do you do the mudari of them? Did you go over that?
We'll talk about the mudari for a verb like gharra.
We haven't yet, though?
We haven't yet. Next, قد خلقنا جنات لكم. قد خلقنا. Indeed, we have created jannatin, gardens. Why jannatin? What is jannat in this sentence?
Like, what do you mean? It's the object.
It's the object. We have created gardens. but it's mansoob with a kasra.
It's feminine.
It's a feminine plural. When it's mansoob, it doesn't take a fatha. We can never say jannatan. We will say jannatin. Right? This classic sentence that you will remember always for that. Khalaqallahu. Right? God created. What comes after is going to be the object. What did God create? And we will say as-samawati. Right? As-samawat. So there's no tanween, but it'll be T. Wal arda. Wal arda, because it's still a mansoob. Right? Samawat is mansoob and al arda is mansoob. But this one takes a kasra, this one takes a fatha. So we will say jannatin lakum. That's one sentence. Fiha fawakihu kathiratun. Fiha, in it, fawakihu kathiratun are fruit aplenty.
So walk, is that a noun or what is it?
Fawakih is the plural of fakiha.
Okay, so it is a noun.
Fakiha means fruit, and the plural is
So walk.
fawakihu kathiratun. So abundant fruit. Minha ta'kulun. From them, meaning from that fruit. Ta'kuluna, you eat. ليس لنا به علم. ليس لنا, the subject or the ism of laysa is ilmun. It comes at the end. Right? The normal order would be laysa ilmun lana bihi. So there is not knowledge for us bihi, about it. So laysa ilmun, there is not knowledge lana, for us. Right? And then bihi refers to the ilm. So it would be laysa ilmun bihi, knowledge about it, lana, for us. But the order will be a little bit different from what you'd expect. So we'll say laysa lana bihi ilm. There is not for us knowledge about it. Is that clear? Is it unclear for anybody? Don't be afraid to say yes. Okay. Wallahu ya'lamu. Easy. Somebody? And God knows. And Allah knows. Wa nahnu la na'lam. And we don't know. Wa ha'ula'i hum. And these are they, الذين who يعلم الله, God knows, ما, what, في قلوبهم, is in their hearts. So
These are the ones whom God knows.
These are the ones whom God knows what is in their hearts.
Whom God knows.
You good? Okay. سأل عنهم.
This is future and then
It's the future. So سأل عنهم لسؤالهم عن ذلك. سأل عنهم.
will you curse?
I will curse them. It's not a question. سأل عنهم. I will curse them.
Oh, okay.
لسؤالهم. Su'al is question. For their questioning
about
عن ذلك. About that. I will curse them for their questioning about that. And here we come back to our friendly lima. Why? Lima ta'budu. Why
Why do you worship?
do you worship? Or why does she worship? Ma la yasma'u. Ma here means that which or what.
That which you do not hear?
Which la yasma'u. It does not hear. So why do you worship that thing which la yasma'u? That thing does not hear. The yasma'u goes back to the ma. That thing does not hear. Why do you worship that which does not hear? كان النبي يأمر أهله بالصلاة. Translation? The Prophet would command his family بالصلاة with prayer or about prayer. فهي كذبت وهو من الصادقين. So she lied. وهو من الصادقين. And he is among the truthful. Please do go back and review those sentences, especially if you had made any mistakes when you were doing it on your own. We have to naturally go a little bit quickly to get through the exercises, but if there's anything that you were not able to understand the i'rab of before you came to class, then review it afterwards and make sure it makes sense. Now let's translate the English back to Arabic. You deceived us with your lying. So what is you? غررت na. So غررتنا with your lying. And lying is kadhib. So بكذبكم. Or بكذبكم.
So this is like using the masdar?
The masdar. Your lying is with the masdar. Your كذب or كذب. غررتنا بكذبكم. Or بكذبكم. On that great day, hell will consume them all.
Will you use ذلك here or just say في?
That great day, on that great day will be yes. في
في ذلك.
في ذلك اليوم العظيم. Because great. Hell will consume them all.
Did you say al-jahannam or just jahannam?
So we'll start with consume because the verb comes first in Arabic. So
يأكل.
تأكل.
تأكل?
It's feminine.
Jahannam is feminine?
Fire is or hell is feminine. Yeah. So تأكل. You can say ستأكل as well, or سوف تأكل, or just تأكل. في ذلك اليوم العظيم تأكل. And then هم. تأكلهم. And then you can say hell.
You said كلهم?
Jahannam. You can say كلهم as well. So تأكل كلهم
كلهم.
Jahannam.
Because كلهم that would
Be the object. So you can say تأكلهم or تأكلهم كلهم or تأكل كلهم.
And then Jahannam after.
Jahannam would be the fa'il.
Jahannam doesn't have
Jahannam will not take alif lam. So you'll say Jahannam. You can also say an-nar.
It's Jahannam also. It's no tanween.
There's no tanween on Jahannam. And an-naru. I will not testify against her. لا لا أشهد against her. على. So it would be عليها.
Oh, it's عليها. But then the thing it's said to use with shahada is anna or inna.
Well, shahida ala means to testify against. So لا أشهد عليها,
So عليها.
she being truthful, لكونها, for her being, or because of her being, صادقة. Or you can say لا أشهد عليها, right? And you can say alternatively هي
Oh, you can say here sadiqa.
صادقة.
That's what I think.
Yes, and then you will add a waw at the beginning to connect it. So لا أشهد عليها وهي صادقة, while she is being truthful. The inhabitants of the city have certain knowledge. So, inhabitants of the city would be Ahlul Madinah. Right? Ahlul Madinah. Right? Now I want to say they have, so we'd say lahum. Remember the preposition li, it means to have. Li kitab, I have a book. Laka kitab, you have a book. Lahum, they have. Certain knowledge is ilmul yaqeen. So Ahlul Madinati lahum ilmul yaqeen, that one of them, anna ahadahum, no, here it would be anna ahadahum took the fruits. Took is akhada al-fawakiha. من الحديقة, from their garden. So it should be من حديقتهم, from their garden. So from من حديقتهم. Question? We asked the other woman from where she heard this news. سألنا المرأة الأخرى. Yes, because this is an adjective. So المرأة الأخرى من أين, from where. Yes, it would be سمعت. Sorry. من أين سمعت this news. هذا الخبر.
What's no, خبر.
خبر. من أين سمعت هذا الخبر, because it's the مفعول, the object. سمعت الخبر. She heard the news. The angels will seize those who disbelieved. So will seize, we start with the verb. سوف يأخذ. And then the angels. الملائكة because they're doing it. الملائكة. Those who disbelieved. الذين كفروا and put their souls in hell. So the angels will seize and the angels will put their souls in hell. وَيَجْعَلُونَ because they will put. And now we have to say يَجْعَلُونَ with the plural because it's referring back to al-malaika. So يَأْخُذُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَيَجْعَلُونَ their souls أَرْوَاحَهُم or أنفسهم. نفوسهم is better. أرواحهم or نفوسهم في النار. I shall write a book for my sons. سأكتب كتابا لأبنائي. It's plural. لأبنائي. أبناء is the plural of ibn. لأبنائي. And in it I shall put. Well, فيه because kitab is مذكر, it's masculine. وفيه أجعل or أضع. The word that we've been using is أجعل. All of my knowledge. كل علمي. وفيه أجعل كل علمي. علمي. No, so وفيه أجعل. You could have put that فيه at the end. You can say وأجعل كل علمي فيه. That's also okay. I do not eat from that which those eat. لا آكل. لا آكل مما from that.
What is it?
مما.
Oh, mimma.
That's equal to min plus ma. So min, ma, those eat.
It's mimma, is how they say it.
Mimma. It's shortened. The
The
noon is shortened into the mim. So we say mimma. And then they eat is ya'kuluna.
yeah.
Using the la, but is there a way of writing it using laysa of some sort? Or no?
You can say lastu akulu. It is not that I eat, or it is the case that I do not eat. Yes, you say la a'budu, la akulu. That's the best way to say it. The king takes everything from his people. Thank you for putting the verb first. يأخذ الملك كل
كلها
كل شيء,
كل شيء.
because
We don't know.
this is the maf'ul. He takes every shay'in thing from his people.
من
Min
قومه
qawmihi. Because of the min. Qawmihi. We looked and saw him prostrate in the dust of the earth. We looked. نظرنا. Wa. We saw. رأينا. رأيناه. We saw him. Prostrate. Sajidan. This is hal. We saw him in the state that he was prostrating. In the dust of the earth. في تراب الأرض. Thus is it written. كذلك هو مكتوب. Thus it is written. An eye for an eye. العين بالعين. And a tooth for a tooth. والسن بالسن. And a soul for a soul. Okay. And then we have a passage based on the Quran. Let's just read it and translate it as quickly as we can. Question? In Arabic, you will translate it as definite. So you'll say, the eye is for the eye. There are times when the definite is used differently in English and Arabic, and one meaning of the definite in Arabic is this category. So, if I speak, for example, of al-ma, I might not be referring to the specific water, I might just be referring to water as a whole. So if I say al-ain, it doesn't necessarily mean the eye. It can just mean that category of eye. And that's what we mean here. The eye is for the eye. That usage exists in English, it's just not very common. So, you can say, for example, the tiger is a ferocious animal. And when you say the tiger is a ferocious animal, I mean, if you're narrator for the Discovery Channel, then you don't mean the tiger, specifically the one that I saw in the zoo. You just mean tigers as a whole. Right? So you say the tiger, meaning that category of tigers, not specifically a tiger. But in general, in English, we don't talk like that unless we are applying or auditioning for a job at the Discovery Channel. We say tigers are, right? Or we use another expression. But in Arabic, you will say, for example, al-namir, or al-asad, or whatever you're referring to, with the definite article. If it's not referring to a specific thing. That's a good question. Next passage, we have a story modified or based on the Quranic passage in Surah An-Naml. قال الهدهد إعراب قال الهدهد لسليمان because it cannot take a kasra, so when it's majroor it will take a fatha. Yes. The hudhud, or the hoopoe bird, I guess it's called. The hudhud said to Sulaiman, جئتك من سبأ بنبأ يقين.
I brought you.
I جئتك, I came to you.
Okay.
من سبأ, from Saba, which is the name of a place. بنبأ, with the news. يقين, that is certain. إني وجدت, indeed
I found
I found امرأة,
a woman.
a woman. تملكهم. تملكهم,
She was doing.
she rules them.
She ruled
I found a woman who rules them. ولها عرش عظيم,
and she has a great throne.
and she has a great throne. وجدتها,
Found
I found her. وقومها,
and her people
and her people. يسجدون, prostrating. للشمس,
to the sun.
to the sun, or for the sun. من دون الله,
From something of God.
aside from God or besides God or to the exclusion of God. لا يسجدون,
No,
they don't prostrate. لله الذي, for God who يعلم كل شيء, knows everything. قال سليمان, this is, it's قال, he said, but referring to Sulaiman. قال سننظر, سننظر,
So
we will see.
we will see.
أصدقت, here means whether. So,
truthful.
yes, we will see, did you tell the truth, or whether you told the truth.
I'm like
Or
so it's instead of
كنت من الكاذبين,
or
you were
you were the liar.
among the liars or from the liars. And then idhab is a verb form we have not discussed yet. It means it's a command. Go. idhab, go. بكتابي هذا, kitabi, with my book, this one, meaning with this book of mine. فانظر, and it's also a command, and see.
See what they do. So what is this book like a letter?
This letter, this book, yeah. Literally it means this writing. So go with this writing of mine, فانظر, and see. ماذا يفعلون,
What the response is.
what do they do? قالت, now this is the queen speaking. She said, يا أيها الملأ. يا أيها just means oh. الملأ
People?
is council or people. إني أتاني كتاب كريم. إني, verily I, أتاني, it has come to me. What has come? Kitabun, a writing. Karimun, noble. So verily I, a noble writing has come to me. Notice that expression. Verily I, it has come to me. It's a little bit different than how we talk in English. In English we don't say, verily I, it has come to me. But in Arabic you can say that. Verily I, what about me? Well, it has come to me. And that's very common in Arabic. You can say, Huwa Abuhu qa'im. He, his father is standing. Or you can say, for example, Zaydun Abuhu qa'im. Zayd, his father is standing. In English we don't say Zayd, his father is standing. We say Zayd's father is standing. But in Arabic, this kind of expression is acceptable. You can say Abu Zaydin qa'imun. You can say that. Zayd's father is standing. But you can also say Zaydun Abuhu qa'im. you can say ana, right? جاءني كتاب. A book came to me. So that kind of expression is acceptable in Arabic. A book came to me. إنه من سليمان. It is from, indeed it is from Sulaiman. وإنه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And it is in the name of God, the kind, the merciful. Okay, let's look at lesson 13. If you need a breath, then you can recite salawat. Now, last week we introduced the 5 words. Did we go through the verses of Quran or not? As examples? Right, so then I'll go through them. There's no harm in looking at verses of Quran twice. So, Abuna Shaykhun Kabir. Right? Our father is an old man. Warithahu Abawahu. Abawa is the dual, and it would have been Abawane. We did go over this. Right? It becomes Abawahu, the noon is dropped. Let's look at 1 or 2 other examples. If you come down, Wadhkur Akha Adin. Wadhkur, remember. And then what comes after it is the maf'ul. That's why Akha is mansub. Akha Adin. If it were marfu', we would say Akhu, which is the next example, or 2 examples down. قَالَ لَهُمْ أَخُوهُمْ. And if it were majroor, it would be أخي, which is the example above it. كَيْفَ يُوَارِي سَوْءَةَ أَخِي. So you can circle those. Marfu' is أخو, mansub is أخا, majroor is أخي. Now, one of these words is dhu, and now we mentioned that for all of these words they only have this i'rab if they are mudaf. But the word dhu is always used mudaf. It's never even used without idafa. And it means the owner of or the possessor of whatever it is mudaf to. So, dhu malin, the owner of wealth. Dhu fadlin, the owner of or the possessor of virtue. Dhu ilmin, the owner of knowledge. There's different forms. The masculine, singular is dhu. That's for the marfu'. If it's mansub, it's dha. If it's majroor, it's the. So we say dhu sha'an, dha sha'an, or the sha'an. At the owner of importance. The dual will be dhawa, or if it's mansub or majroor, the way. And because it's always mudaf, there will never be a noon. The noon will always be dropped. Right? Because it's always going to be mudaf, the noon will always be dropped. So it's dhawa or the way. The plural is ulu or uli. Ulul amr, ulil amr. The possessors of command. The feminine is that, and that can just take the regular i'rab, dhatu, dhata, dhati. The Feminine dual is dhawata or dhawate. And the plural is ulato or ulati. So we have some examples. Wallahu dhul fadl al-azim. God is the owner of al-fadl al-azim, great virtue or bounty. And Allah is the mubtada, dhu is the khabar, so it's marfu'. يحكم به ذوى عدل. ذوى is the fa'il, so it's marfu', and it's mudaf to adl. ذوى عدل, two possessors of justice, will do a hukum. Right? That's one way of reconciling a dispute. You have two just people or two possessors of adl, justice, who will mediate. ذواتا أفنان ذواتي أكل ذي القربى. That's what case is ذي القربى? Is it مرفوع, منصوب, or مجرور? مجرور. كنا أولات حمل. كنا is the feminine plural for kana, so kana, kana, kanu, kanat, kanata, kunna, hunna, kunna. They are or they were ulate hamlin, possessors of pregnancy. Dhil jalali wal ikram is marfu', mansub, or majroor? Majroor. So those are some examples. Because we haven't looked at the grammar, I don't want to get stuck in the grammar. Let's move on to negation. One form of negation in Arabic is to use la, not just to negate one thing, but to negate an entire category of things. And when we do that, we put the word after la as mansoob, but it cannot take tanween. Now this is a simplified explanation, and for our purposes right now that simplified explanation is enough. Think of it as being mansoob but no tanween, and this means none, no. So when we say la ilaha, la ilaha, absolutely no God, none, right? No God. Or la junaha, there is no blame at all. La ilma, there is no knowledge at all. Lana, for us. La ikraha, there is no compulsion. La rayba, there is no doubt. None. That form is used for none, not at all. A couple more examples. La ba'sa, no problem. Ba's means mistake, means problem, difficulty. La sayfa, there is no sword. Illa dhul fiqar. La fata, there is no youth. Illa Ali, except for Ali. The famous hadith of the Prophet. La sayfa, absolutely no sword exists. Illa dhul fiqar, except for dhul fiqar. So you're familiar with that expression. And then the word illa is used for exceptions, except. Right? That is called in Arabic istithna. Istithna, making an exception. Again, there are detailed rules for it, very simplified and basic. If it is a negative sentence, then just pretend there's no illa, and the i'rab of the sentence will be as you would expect, based on whatever the word is. Fa'il, maf'ul, whatever. But if it's an affirmative sentence, whatever comes after illa will be mansub. So for example, if I say kataba, right? At-tullabu, the students wrote, but one student did not write. Illa Zaydan, because it's an affirmative sentence. Kataba at-tullabu is an affirmative sentence, so what comes after illa will be mansub, even though it's being an exception from at-tullabu, and at-tullab is the fa'il. Right? Tullab is the fa'il. Kataba at-tullabu illa Zaydan. However, if it had been a negative sentence, ma kataba at-tullabu, the students did not write, except for Zayd, illa, then, and I can say Zaydun. Why Zaydun? Because Zayd here is an exception from at-tullab, right? And at-tullab is the fa'il of ma kataba. Who did not write? The students, except for Zayd. Now, there are other rules and possibilities that exist, but we will ignore that. And we have a few examples. La ilaha illallahu. No God except Allah. No God exists. Right? That's understood. فَسَجَدُوا, they prostrated, إِلَّا إِبْلِيسَ, except for Iblis. كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٌ, halik means to be annihilated or destroyed. Everything will be destroyed, إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ, except for his face. فَذَرُوهُ فِي سُنْبُلِهِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِمَّا تَأْكُلُونَ. ذَرُوهُ means leave it. فِي سُنْبُلِهِ, in its I believe in its husk. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِمَّا تَأْكُلُونَ, except for a little bit which you will eat. لَا فَتَى إِلَّا عَلِي, لَا سَيْفَ إِلَّا ذُو الْفِقَارِ. وَجْهَهُ. We say wajhahu because kullu shay'in halikun is a positive sentence. There's no negation. Kullu shay'in halikun, it's an affirmative sentence. So we'll say illa wajhahu, except for his face. So please conclude with the salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. This material that we covered today is not difficult, inshallah, so you'll be able to review it, I think, with no problems and do the exercises. And next week, inshallah, we will also look at lesson 14.